Lin Ling was a carefree freshman who avoided basketball teams and only played for fun, until one day, a short but determined classmate named Li Feng kept pestering him relentlessly to show his skills on the court. As Lin Ling tried his best to ignore him and live peacefully, little did he know that soon Li Feng's unwavering passion and loudmouth would drag him into a dangerous 2-versus-2 match against the ruthless senior Xiaobo, who would strike his head with an elbow, changing his peaceful high school life forever. However, before any of this, at a basketball field, some players are surprised to see a guy doing insane dunks and they think that they are nothing compared to him and his team. Another guy tells them that if they accept defeat now, they just have to do 5 push-ups, and if he continues then he might end up doing 50 push-ups. However, the guy who performed the dunks earlier says that he heard he can't find the king here, the absolute prodigy, but the result was trash as he wasted a lot of time coming here. Just then, a red-headed guy arrives and asks him if he wants to play another round. The red-headed player explains how they are going to play for 10 baskets, and he says that if he ends up losing the game, he will do 10 push-ups for every basket that he scores during their match. However, if the long-haired guy loses instead, then he has to apologize to all the people who are standing around them right now. When the long-haired guy hears this challenge, he starts laughing and tells the red-headed player that he cannot believe he actually wants him to say sorry to the trash people who are out there watching them play. The red-headed player tells him back that he is not here to save anyone or help anybody out, but he just thinks that the long-haired guy is being way too arrogant and full of himself and somebody needs to teach him a lesson right now. After the long-haired guy hears what he says to him, he decides that he will play the game against him. Right after that happens, the red-headed player's 2 other teammates whose names are Jia and Yuan also show up and arrive at the basketball court where they are. At the same time, a girl with big talents comes to the basketball court because she wants to cheer for the players who are there, but it turns out that all the guys' noses start bleeding right away when they see her standing there. Another really big and muscular-looking guy shows up at the court and everyone knows him as Wu Gang, and he is actually from the city's best high school where he plays as their center position. The girl then looks at him and asks him what is wrong with him or what he needs, so he explains to her that he is trying to look for someone named Lin Ling at this place. The girl points toward one of the players and tells him that the person he is searching for is the one who is wearing headphones on his head right now, and that player happens to be the same red-headed guy who is making a challenge to play against the long-haired one. The girl keeps talking and says more stuff about how Lin Ling is really good at playing basketball, and she thinks that if he decides to join their school's basketball team, then they will definitely be able to get into the provisional competition for sure, and she even believes that making it to the National League will also be totally possible for them. After that moment, the basketball match between both of the teams starts and the long-haired guy begins running really fast with the ball in his hands as Lin Ling chases after him and follows him closely. The long-haired guy then jumps up high into the air to throw the ball into the basket, but Lin Ling also jumps up at exactly the right time, which makes the guy feel really annoyed. The long-haired guy pushes Lin Ling while they are both still in the air, which ends up causing Lin Ling to fall down hard onto the ground below. When the other people watching see what just happened, they start thinking that the long-haired guy is using his same old dirty tricks again because he is relying way too much on his strong physical advantage over other players. Jia and Yuan then walk over to Lin Ling and ask him if he is feeling okay after that fall, because that group of guys is not actually playing basketball the right way, but they are clearly just attacking him on purpose instead. The basketball match then keeps going with Lin Ling getting the ball and passing it over to Yuan, and he tells him to take things slowly. Yuan then starts trying to move his way towards the basket to score, but he ends up getting blocked by the other team instead. When Wu Gang sees what is going on, he thinks to himself that Yuan is totally stuck in that spot and trying to break through the defense right now will not work at all, so the only thing he can really do is pass the ball to someone else. Yuan then really quickly sends the ball over to Jia to help him score, but Jia ends up getting blocked almost immediately by a guy who is wearing glasses on his face, so Jia decides to send the ball straight over to Lin Ling without even stopping. Lin Ling starts trying to shoot the ball up into the basket to score a point, but the long-haired guy jumps up high and manages to block it from going in. The ball bounces away and ends up going over to his teammate, who everyone calls Heizi. Heizi then wastes no time and quickly passes the ball right back to the long-haired guy, and the long-haired guy starts running as fast as he can toward the basket while Lin Ling keeps chasing right behind him and tries to catch up to him as fast as he possibly can. Both of them jump up into the air at exactly the same time as each other, but the long-haired guy uses his body to push Lin Ling away from him, and then he throws the ball right into the basket to score. After scoring the point, the long-haired guy then walks right up to where Lin Ling is standing and asks him if his legs are really that weak and pathetic that he cannot even stand up properly on the court. Instead of saying anything back or replying to his insult, Lin Ling just starts smiling at him. After that, the basketball match keeps continuing, and the long-haired guy tells Lin Ling in a threatening way that he is going to make absolutely sure that he will not be able to score even a single point during this entire game they are playing. Lin Ling does not say anything back to him or reply to his threat, and he just keeps smiling at him, but then he suddenly and quickly starts running around the long-haired guy by using a bunch of different tricks and moves with his feet. Lin Ling then does a fake move to trick the defenders and then runs as fast as he can towards the basket to try to score. He then jumps way up into the air to throw the ball into the basket and get a point, but then both the long-haired guy and another guy who is wearing glasses on his face try their best to stop him from scoring. Lin Ling very quickly throws a pass over to Jia, who is standing in a better position, and Jia catches it and shoots the ball straight towards the basket and scores their very first goal of the game. Wu Gang turns to the girl standing next to him and tells her that this time she was completely right about Lin Ling, but he also suspects that Lin Ling is probably hiding some special skills that he has not shown yet. The basketball match then keeps continuing after that, and Haizi gets the ball and passes it over to the long-haired guy on his team, but Yuan jumps up at the very last moment possible and manages to block the pass from getting through to him. Yuan then says out loud that it was way too easy for him to trick them like that because they always look down on other people way too much and think they are better than everyone. At that exact moment, Haizi starts running really fast over to Yuan to try to steal the ball away from him, but Yuan then passes it back over to Lin Ling before Haizi can take it. The Ling catches it and then sees that the long-haired guy is blocking his path and standing in his way. The long-haired guy tells Lin Ling that getting lucky does not work twice in the same game, and this time it will not be easy at all for him to run past him like he did before. The long-haired guy then tries really hard to steal the ball away from Lin Ling, but Lin Ling very quickly fakes a move to trick him and then he gets ready to shoot the ball, but he does not actually shoot it. Lin Ling just runs past the long-haired guy very smoothly without any problems and scores another point for his team. Seeing that, everyone gets surprised and thinks that it was a walking right move, but Wu Gang says that it was a perfect face, which they don't get to see that often. He explains that this movement requires extremely high physical coordination and skills. Even professional basketball players may not be able to use this fake move. The girl then turns to Wu Gang and asks him how it is possible that she was not right about Lin Ling and his skills, but Wu Gang tells her that Lin Ling's playing style is almost uncooperative with his teammates most of the time. Lin Ling actually makes up for that problem with his amazing technique and basketball skills. Wu Gang then asks her a question about the fact that she invited Lin Ling to join at the right time, so he wonders why Lin Ling is not willing to join their team at all. The story then gets a flashback scene that goes back in time to show when the girl went over to Lin Ling to ask him something about joining the basketball team, but instead of telling him that important information right away, she just keeps talking and yapping to him about all sorts of different random things that do not matter. She starts complimenting him over and over again without stopping at all, and she keeps saying things like his physique and body looks quite tough and muscular and he is super strong and powerful as well. She then finally says to him that she came to this place to ask him if he is willing to join the school's basketball team, and then she introduces herself to him as Chinya, and she explains that she is a second-year high school student and also the manager of the school's basketball team. However, Lin Ling replies back to her and says that he is not interested at all in playing basketball and he does not want to join any kind of basketball team either right now. Chinya then says to him that she actually watched all of his junior high school basketball games before and she knows that he is really good at playing basketball, but then Lin Ling suddenly yells at her and says that he does not want to join any basketball team at all. Back to the present, Chinya tells Wu Gang that she is not going to give up on Lin Ling at all and she will definitely find a way to get him into their basketball team no matter what. On the other hand, at the basketball court, the long-haired guy is now having control of the ball in his hands and he tells Lin Ling not to get so happy and excited about scoring those points because he will not let him score any more goals during this game. The long-haired guy then starts running straight toward the basket as fast as he possibly can and manages to score the goal for his team, but it just does not stop there at all because Lin Ling scores another goal right after that happens and the cycle of both of them scoring back and forth against each other just continues over and over again without stopping. The score of the game is now 9 goals by 9 goals and it is really hard to say which player will end up winning this match. The long-haired guy then asks Lin Ling a question about if he is just going to keep using tricks and moves and do fake actions instead of striking and playing head-on against him directly. After that, the basketball match resumes and starts again and Lin Ling starts running straight towards the goal with the ball in his hands while the long-haired guy is waiting there for him to arrive. Lin Ling suddenly jumps straight up high into the sky, which completely shocks everyone who is watching the game. After that, the story gives a flashback scene of Lin Ling telling his friend that he will not be participating in the basketball league at all and he would just play basketball to have some fun occasionally whenever he feels like it. Lin Ling then starts leaving the place and tells the other guy that they should definitely play basketball again if they ever get a chance in the future, but the guy asks Lin Ling if he really cannot let go of what happened to him before. The flashback then shows that Lin Ling actually met his friend when he was much younger in age and some older guys were trying to bully him and push him around. Just then at that moment, the friend of Lin Ling arrives at the basketball court and tells those bullies that the basketball court does not belong to them at all and they should have a 1 versus 1 match to settle things. The friend says to them that if the bullies win the game, then he and Linling will leave the court, but if the friend loses the match then he is going to apologize to Linling for everything. After that challenge is made by his friend, the friend completely dominates the entire basketball field by showing off some insane basketball moves and skills that completely shock all the bullies who are watching him play, and the bullies end up losing their match against primary school students like Linling and his friend. In the end of the game, the bullies end up losing the match completely and they are forced to say sorry and apologize to Linling for bullying him earlier. Later that same day, Linling and his friend go out together to eat some ice cream at a shop where the friend introduces himself to Linling as Dang Yiming and tells him that when he grows up and gets bigger in height, he will be able to do slam dunks too, just like the professional basketball players do. He also says that if he could do slam dunks right now at this young age, then those bullies would have become way too shy and embarrassed to even show their faces around them anymore. Dang then shows Linling a special basketball move and says to him that doing this move is like spreading your wings just like a bird so you can fly high up into the air and dunk the ball straight down into the loop of the basket. The story then goes back to the present time and Linling does a dunk move exactly like how Dang told him about it back in the past and throws the ball straight down into the basket to score. After that, everyone starts celebrating Linling's victory over the long-haired guy and Yuan tells Linling that the last dunk move he did was absolutely heavenly and amazing and he asks how Linling could possibly hide such a hidden skill from them this whole time. Yuan further asks Linling another question about why he did not use such a killer move before during the game, but Linling just walks up to where the long-haired guy is standing and asks him if he is feeling okay after losing. When Yuan and Jie see Linling doing that, they wonder to themselves if it is really necessary for Linling to check on him because he was not the long-haired guy just being a clown and acting like a jerk to everyone. The long-haired guy then slaps off Linling's hand away from him in an angry way and tells him that this matter between them is not over yet at all, but Linling tells him back that he is welcome to come challenge him anytime he wants to play again. After that, the long-haired guy walks over and apologizes to the other guys just like he promised Linling he would do if he lost. The long-haired guy then tries to walk away from the basketball court but he accidentally bumps into Wu Gang who is standing there, so he yells at Wu Gang. On the other hand, Linling tells Yuan and Jie that something really important came up for him, so he is going to leave the basketball court right now, but Jie asks him a question about whether he is going to come back to play basketball with them tomorrow. However, Linling tells Jie that he will not be playing basketball anymore with them because he only plays basketball occasionally whenever he feels like it and not on a regular basis. Qinya then turns to Wu Gang and asks him where Linling went because she does not see him around anymore. Wu Gang tells her that Linling has already gone and left the basketball court, and he also thinks that Linling is a really good basketball player but he is just not willing to join their basketball team at all, and this situation does not seem that simple to Wu Gang. Qinya then tells Wu Gang to just leave that whole problem to her because even if she has to abduct Linling and force him to join their basketball team against his will and wishes, she will definitely do it no matter what it takes. The next day after the basketball game, Linling is running late for school and he tries his absolute best to reach the school gate as fast as possible because there are only 5 minutes left before the school bell rings. Linling then jumps through the school gate to get inside quickly, and at the exact same time, another boy also jumps over the gate in the same way, so both of their heads bump into each other really hard. Then after that, they both start arguing with each other about whose fault it was for bumping heads, but the security guard who is watching them tells them to stop talking and run faster, so they can both reach their classroom before the class starts. Later, Linling and the same boy from before entering the classroom together at the same time, and they both suddenly realize that they are actually classmates in the same class. They both then start freaking out and panicking about this situation, and each one of them thinks that the other one of them is actually following straight on behind them on purpose. Just then at that moment, the teacher arrives at the classroom and hits both of them on their heads, and the teacher says that they should just get back to their seats right now, but everyone in the entire classroom starts laughing at them because of what just happened. After that happens, the boy and Linling end up sitting at the same bench together as deskmate, but once the class is finally over and done with for the day, the boy turns to Linling and tells him that it is not like it is his fault that the both of them were jumping over the fence earlier that morning to get into school. The boy then says to Linling that since they are already sitting on the same bench together now, he would like to get along with him for the future, and he introduces himself to Linling as Li Feng. Li Feng then tells Linling something about how it is said that 500 years of reincarnation can be exchanged for only a rub of shoulders in this life, and today they both ended up as benchmates, which must definitely be fate bringing them together. Li Feng then says that they should go play basketball together sometime, but Linling tells him that he is not really into basketball at all, but Li Feng starts wondering to himself if it is because Linling actually cannot play basketball properly. Li Feng then tells him that it doesn't matter if he can't play, as he can teach him, and if his performance is good, he might be able to join him in the school team. However, Linling says that he can't be serious because of his height, but he himself is not interested in him teaching him basketball. Just then at that moment, Qinya shows up at their classroom with a drink in her hand, but Lin Ling thinks that it is actually Li Feng who is trying to give him the milk drink as a gift. Li Feng gets shocked and surprised to see Qinya standing there, and Qinya is also surprised that Li Feng actually knows who she is already. Li Feng then says out loud that she is the manager of the school's basketball team, and he then continues to tell a whole long list of things about Qinya just like a stalker would know about someone. Li Feng also adds that he is practicing his basketball skills every single day so that one day in the future, he can join her basketball team and compete in the National High School League tournament, but Qinya tells him to fill out the application form if he has that kind of determination and to prepare himself for tryouts. After that, Qinya gives the milk drink to Lin Ling and says to him that she wants to apologize for what happened last time they talked, but Lin Ling still refuses to join the basketball team at all. When Li Feng hears that conversation, he thinks to himself that Lin Ling was actually invited by Qinya to join the basketball team, which means there must be something really special about him. Just then, a scary-looking guy arrives at the scene and tells Lin Ling that he has to teach him some important rules because he cannot speak to Qinya in that kind of disrespectful way, but Lin Ling asks him who he even is supposed to be. The scary-looking guy then pushes aside Lin Ling's new friend Li Feng out of the way and furiously tells Lin Ling that he has to teach him a serious lesson right now. Qinya then calls the scary-looking guy by his name Yuan Jie and yells at him not to be rude to Lin Ling like that or else she will completely ignore him from now on. When Yuan Jie hears what Qinya says to him, he suddenly starts acting all sweet and innocent like a completely different person and introduces himself to Lin Ling in a friendly way, and he says that he is currently from the volleyball team but he is going to move to the basketball team very soon. Qinya then moves aside Yuan Jie out of her way and says that he does not have to mess up her important business discussions that she is having with Lin Ling here. Before leaving, Yuan Jie tells Lin Ling that they should exchange some pointers if there is a chance. Qinya also leaves with him, telling Lin Ling that she would come some other time to ask him about basketball team, but Lin Ling is already annoyed. After they leave, Li Feng asks Lin Ling if they should go play basketball, but Lin Ling says that he is not interested in that. However, Li Feng thinks that he is just pretending too much at this point because he actually said he is not interested in basketball, but now a girl came to ask him to join the school basketball team. Li Feng then asks Lin Ling to let him see his basketball skills and show him the true strength of what the school basketball team has really been like for once, but Lin Ling tells him that he is not interested in playing basketball at all. Later during their class, Lin Ling cannot focus on the lecture that the teacher is giving because Li Feng keeps asking him over and over again to play basketball with him. Lin Ling then freaks out at Li Feng, which catches the teacher's attention right away, so Lin Ling tells the teacher that another guy from his bench was hiding under his seat to trick the teacher, but Li Feng is actually sitting right beside him the whole time. Later that day, Lin Ling is using the toilet in the bathroom, but Li Feng does not leave him alone there either and he keeps asking him to play basketball even in the bathroom. When Lin Ling sees him following him into the bathroom, he freaks out again in a loud voice which makes all the people standing outside the bathroom think that they are dating each other. In the end, Lin Ling agrees to go with him and play basketball, but first he should get out of the bathroom. Later that same day, Li Feng takes Lin Ling to the basketball court where Li Feng thinks to himself that the basketball atmosphere of 9th middle school is indeed exactly the same as all the legends say because many people are playing basketball at this hour of the day. Li Feng then turns to Lin Ling and tells him to accept his challenge right now, and he explains that as long as Lin Ling can beat him in this game he can directly join the basketball team without any problems, but Lin Ling wonders to himself if this was Li Feng's plan all along from the very beginning. Li Feng then tells Lin Ling that they would play 3 games against each other and the one who can win 2 out of 3 games will be declared the winner, and there would be 5 balls per game that they play, so rock paper and scissors will decide who will get to have the ball first. When Lin Ling hears these rules, he is surprised and asks Li Feng if he ever watched a martial arts movie before. He explains that it's because the battles between true masters are always decided by one hit one kill, and similarly, the basketball masters play against each other for 3 balls, and the one who scores at least 2 out of 3 balls wins the match. After that, they both play rock paper scissors to decide who goes first, and Li Feng easily wins the game and starts acting like a complete weirdo by celebrating too much, so Lin Ling says to him that he did not win the entire game yet and it was just rock paper scissors. Then after that, they both get onto the basketball court where Lin Ling tells Li Feng to start playing the game, but Li Feng wonders to himself why Lin Ling is saying that in such a casual tone because only those people with full confidence in their basketball skills are able to talk with that kind of tone in their voice. Li Feng then quickly moves around the court with some insane techniques and skills and tries to run past Lin Ling to score, and just as Li Feng jumps up into the air to throw the ball into the basket to score a point, Li Feng suddenly falls down hard on the ground as the basketball hits his face. Lin Ling realizes that Li Feng's basketball skills are so fake and not real at all, but Li Feng says to him that it is just a small mistake that happened because he was feeling nervous earlier during the game. Li Feng then says with confidence that he is going to use his ultimate special move which he wanted to save for the official game after entering the basketball team, but Lin Ling thinks to himself that it is going to be really hard for Li Feng to enter the basketball team with these skills. Li Feng then manages to throw the ball into the basket and scores a point, but he says that the point is not going to count at all because Lin Ling did not use his full strength against him and he wants to defeat Lin Ling at his full potential and power. Lin Ling thinks to himself that Li Feng might be a complete idiot, but then at that moment, a blonde-haired guy arrives at the basketball court and says that a short guy with an IQ that is worse than an idiot will not be able to join the basketball team at all. After that moment, the guy talks badly and insults Wu Gang, so Li Feng thinks in his mind how he could say bad things about Wu Gang after leaving the basketball team himself. Lin Ling asks him in confusion who Wu Gang actually is, so Li Feng says and explains that he is the former captain of the basketball team before. Feng further adds that Wu Gang will be his captain very soon. He will not allow anyone to testify against him and their team at all, but Lin tells him to stop talking about joining the team right now. After that conversation, the blonde guy tells them to stop thinking about joining the team at all because with their current skill level, it would take another 10 years of experience and practice before thinking about joining the team seriously. Lin Ling then quickly grabs the guy's hand tightly and says that he is going to leave the place right now with him together. Just as they start leaving the basketball court, the guy says that he feels bad for those guys on the basketball team, but then he says that he thinks they are the most suitable for joining the basketball team and only losers can join under a pathetic captain like that. Hearing that insult from him, Lin Ling gets really angry inside, but then he says that his hand hurts a lot and it is all because of Li Feng's hand strength being too strong. Li Feng then says that it is his main goal to enter the 9th high school basketball team and his dream is to be on the field with like-minded comrades and win the game together with them. He then says that although he is not a member of the 9th middle school basketball team right now, but even if it is completely crushed and destroyed, he will never allow anyone to insult his team and his captain at all. Hearing that, the blonde guy starts laughing out loud and says that Wu Gang is a complete loser and his team has a bunch of rubbish players on it. Li Feng then tells the guy that they should just play a 2 versus 2 matches against each other, but the blonde guy says that what does he mean by 2 versus 2 because his friend Lin Ling is actually trying to run away from the court right now. Lin Ling says that he has some really urgent matter to take care of right now, so he has to leave this place, but Li Feng begs Lin Ling, saying he should play just once for his sake and he promises him that after this one game is over, he will not bother him anymore at all. Hearing that from him, Lin Ling feels pretty bad about the situation, but Li Feng once again begs him to play in the game. Lin Ling wonders to himself about why this is happening to him when he just wanted to live peacefully without any problems. After that moment, Lin Ling then walks over to where Li Feng is standing and says that they should get started fast because he needs to go back to sleep and he cannot waste more time on a weak person like him. Lin then tells Li Feng that he does not belong to the basketball team, so he does not care about winning or losing this game. However, the blonde guy thinks that it is time for them to wake up from their dream of thinking about the basketball dream they have. Afterward, everyone in the basketball court watches them closely and thinks that the blonde guy is actually Wu Xiaobo from the basketball team, but they wonder who the short guy is that is trying to challenge him right now. Another guy then says that Xiaobo did match fixing in a really key game and he was trying to harm the opponent players in the game, and after that whole incident was exposed to everyone, he was caught and kicked out of the basketball team completely. He further says that there are many things that most people do not know about because of that match-fixing incident. Many players were kicked by the team and now, the basketball team is totally empty and in need of good players to join. He cannot believe that Li Feng and Lin Ling have the guts to play against this demon of a player right now. On the other hand, Li Feng tells Xiaobo that whoever scores 5 baskets first wins the match, but they would have to decide who gets the ball first by playing rock paper scissors with each other. However, Xiaobo tells him that he has to get the ball first because he is a senior member of the basketball team and he will take really good care of them during the game. Soon, all the other players also join the place to watch them play the basketball game together with great interest and excitement. The match then resumes and starts again with Li Feng trying to use a fake action move on the court and he manages to run past Xiaobo successfully, but he easily catches up to him using his insanely fast speed and quick movements on the basketball court. Xiaobo manages to completely block Li Feng from moving forward any further and asks him if he has not eaten enough food today because his power and strength seems way too low right now for this kind of game. Li Feng then tries to pass the basketball over to Lin Ling on the other side, but Xiaobo easily blocks the pass from going through to him on the basketball court right away. He then tells Li Feng that he looks like a total amateur player, but it is okay because he is going to teach him how to play basketball properly today, and then he quickly runs past Li Feng with great speed. However, Li Feng also tries really hard to stop him from getting away, but he ends up falling down on the ground, which makes all the other people watching think that he is definitely an amateur player for sure. They also think that Xiaobo is just toying around with Li Feng for sure and not taking him seriously at all, but then Li Feng follows Xiaobo closely to try and steal the ball away from him, so he just uses a fake trick to move the ball around in different directions. Xiaobo then throws the ball into the basket with ease and scores the goal successfully, making Li Feng realize the true strength and skill level of the basketball team members right now. Meanwhile, Qinya is searching around for some other players for the basketball team, and she comes across a guy named Wu Longbin whose team also faced Linling in a game last year, so she thinks that if these two players join the team then it is going to be absolutely perfect for them. Just then, Yuan Jia asks her about Wu Longbin and who he is, so she tries to kick him out of the place, asking what he is doing in here right now. He tells her that he just came here to let her know that Linling and Xiaobo are competing on the basketball field right now. After hearing that news, they quickly go to the basketball field to check them out, and she realizes that it is not just Linling who is playing on the court, but there is also another guy with him. Moreover, Xiaobo tells Li Feng that this level of competition is not even a warm-up exercise for him at all, and he tries to run fast but he does not have speed, so he just wants to use tricks but he does not have skills, and finally, if he tries dribbling the ball he is way too unstable. He further tells Li Feng that with just that 5 feet stature of his body, he suggests that it is better for him to stop daydreaming about playing basketball. Hearing that from him, everyone else starts making fun of Li Feng as well and says that he cannot join the basketball teams with this much difficulty, and with that height and skills, even the worst basketball team out there will not accept him at all. Li Feng then tells the guy that in his eyes, he is a short guy who does not have any skills at all, but he has seen that look on people's faces countless times since he was a small kid to this day, and because of that he will not give up on his dream. After that, Xiaobo manages to steal the ball from him and runs to the basket, but Linling follows him, shouting at Li Feng for not passing the ball to him earlier. Xiaobo then manages to do a slam dunk on the basket and puts the ball inside with great force. Seeing that amazing move, everyone starts making fun of Li Feng even more than before, but then Xiaobo gives the ball back to Li Feng and tells him to start again because he cannot wait to destroy him fully in this game. Li Feng then tries to run forward with the ball, but he ends up falling down on the ground, which gets the ball to Xiaobo, who then easily scores another point without any trouble. Just then, Wu Gang shows up at the court and tells Qinya that Li Feng is a total fool for playing like this. Linling then tells Li Feng that his basketball skills are really bad and basketball is a team sport, but he does not want to pass the ball, so he ends up looking like a complete fool. He then tells him to get up from the ground because the match is not over yet at all. After that moment, everyone makes fun of Linling and says that he does not seem to give up at all even now, but his red-colored hair looks really weird and strange on him. Linling then walks up to Xiaobo calmly and confidently and says that if he remembers correctly from before then this ball is in their possession in this round of the game, but Xiaobo says that he thought he ran away again from the game like a coward. The guy then says that he remembers Lin was in the basketball team before in the past, but he does not remember him anymore at all right now. Linling introduces himself as Linling, who is a freshman student, and he is currently in first year class 14 right now at this school. Seeing that interaction, Yuan Jia wonders in his mind if that guy is an idiot because of his flattering expression on his face, and Qinya is really furious at Linling for telling his personal details to Xiaobo, who is not even a part of the basketball team anymore. Linling then tells Xiaobo that he only plays basketball occasionally for fun and he is not interested in basketball seriously, and neither is he a part of the team right now. Xiaobo then walks aside after telling his teammate Zhang to play with him in the game and says that it does not matter anymore as they will win after scoring 2 more baskets anyway. The match then begins with Linling running with an insane speed at the very start, and he then quickly throws the ball in the basket perfectly, scoring another point for the team on the scoreboard. Linling then starts laughing out loud and tells Zhang that he allowed him to get a point easily without any effort, so he just gives the ball back to him now. On the other hand, the people watching the match are completely shocked and amazed to see how incredibly fast Linling is moving on the court with such explosive speed, but Qinya wonders out loud in amazement what kind of food does Linling eat to have such an impressive athletic physique and body. The ball then gets passed to Zhang, who catches it and wonders in his confused mind why Linling is laughing like that in such a strange way, but he thinks to himself that this is basically a 2 versus 1 match because Li Feng cannot play basketball at all. Zhang then passes the ball back to Xiaobo to continue their offensive play, but Linling suddenly blocks the pass with his hand at the perfect moment, and he quickly grabs the ball and runs towards the basket at full speed while Xiaobo follows him aggressively like a beast chasing its prey. Linling moves with incredible agility and speed as he dribbles the ball forward, leaving his opponents struggling to keep up with his pace and movements on the court. Linling then jumps up high to throw the ball in the basket, but Xiaobo tries to block the ball from going in, and just as he tries to block and steal the ball away, Linling passes it to another hand and throws the ball in the basket that shocks everyone watching. After that, Xiaobo is surprised and wonders who he really is because he can't be the freshman with that posture of his. Meanwhile, the other players watching from the side think that the guy with red-colored hair is incredibly strong because his strength is not the kind of thing that someone who is just a substitute player would normally have at all on any basketball team. More impressively, he is currently playing against both Xiaobo and his teammate at the same time on the court, which means that it is basically a 2 versus 1 match happening right there in front of everyone watching closely. The guys watching then make the decision among themselves to bet money on the outcome of the game that is happening in front of them, but then Yuan Jie suddenly shows up and tells them that they should not bet while they are in school right now because gambling is something that not only harms other people around them badly but also hurts oneself in the process of doing it over and over again. Qinya then turns her head toward Wu Gang, who is standing right beside her, and asks him what he thinks about the whole situation happening on the basketball court, wanting to hear his honest opinion. Wu Gang explains in detail that Lin Ling is without a doubt very strong in his abilities and skills, and that he clearly has real talent in the game, but as the main player of the former school team who has a lot of real match experience, Xiaobo is also definitely not weak in any way at all. He further explains that Xiaobo is even better than Lin Ling when it comes to very important things such as real court experience and overall physical strength and stamina in the sport of basketball. On the other hand, Li Feng recalls in his mind what Lin Ling told him earlier in the conversation, that he is definitely not a fool at all and that they can very easily win the match without much trouble or difficulty. Xiaobo then tells Lin Ling directly and seriously that as a substitute player of the basketball team, he should really say that his act of being a harmless and amateur player was actually over the top and way too much for believability. Xiaobo then decides to start the match and get things going properly on the court, but in just a blink of a second, Lin Ling steals the ball away from him. This surprises absolutely everyone who is watching the game right now, and they genuinely cannot believe at all how he managed to do that so incredibly quickly and smoothly. Lin Ling then tells Xiaobo very clearly and directly that he talks way too much during the game and that he should really pay close attention when playing basketball because the attacker will always seize his gap to steal or break through him at any time during the entire game. After that particular moment happens on the court, Lin Ling runs straight toward the basket with incredible speed and tremendous energy and performs some insane dribbling moves that completely surprise Xiaobo and catch him totally off guard in the process of the play. Li Feng then decides to sacrifice himself by positioning his body right in front of Xiaobo to stop him from interfering with the play. Lin Ling continues charging toward the basket with determination and successfully throws the ball in, scoring important points for the team. Lin Ling then walks over to Li Feng and tells him that this kind of pick-and-roll strategy can only be pulled off by a fool like him, but he still admits that Li Feng did a great job. Li Feng responds by saying that such a small injury definitely cannot stop him from continuing, and he declares that the game is not over yet because he absolutely cannot let people make a joke out of him. After that moment, everyone thinks of Li Feng as someone who is fierce and strong, and not only that but they think the combo of a giant and a dwarf is so good and effective together. However, Xiaobo cannot believe at all that the people think that he is going to lose against Li Feng and Lin Ling, as he thinks even getting a tie against him is a big deal and they think they can defeat him easily. Xiaobo then tells Li Feng directly that he knows he wants to join the basketball team badly, so he will let him join if he wins the match, but if not, then he won't get another chance to try again. Lin Ling then quickly tells Xiaobo confidently that the thing he likes the most is seeing the face of arrogant guys like him as at the beginning. He lets them score points, they act all high and mighty about it, but when he starts scoring instead, the look on their faces turns bad immediately. On the other hand, Yuan Jie says clearly that this final round is very important and crucial, and Xiaobo is going to start the round now, and it all depends on how Lin Ling is going to respond to his moves. Xiaobo then starts dribbling left and right skillfully, and then he tries to move forward, but Lin Ling finds an opportunity quickly and tries to steal the ball away from him. However, Xiaobo does a killer crossover move successfully, and Wu Gang explains in detail that the offensive team uses the shaking of the body and the head to cooperate with the dribble to make a fake dribble to one side. He then break through to the other side according to the opponent's defense. Doing a killer crossover during a game is too difficult to execute properly. After that moment, Xiaobo runs straight towards the basket with determination, and just as he jumps up to throw the ball in the basket, Lin Ling appears out of nowhere suddenly and blocks the goal attempt completely. At that moment, Xiaobo realizes clearly that Lin Ling is actually a beast on the court, but then Lin Ling steals the ball from him quickly and passes it back to Li Feng immediately. He then throws the ball back to Lin Ling without hesitation, but Xiaobo is furious and yells at Ling loudly, saying he is the main player of the basketball team and a freshman like him cannot beat him at all. Lin Ling doesn't reply to him with words, and using his insane dribbling tricks skillfully, he runs backwards with control and then does a flyback jump move to throw the ball straight at the basket perfectly. However, Yuan Jie thinks to himself that the steals and fallback jumps that just happened right now were so awesome and amazing to watch, so he wonders if this guy Lin Ling is really a freshman student in first year of high school. Yuan Jie further thinks to himself that if this guy Lin Ling was really part of the basketball team, then that means he could easily be selected as one of the main players on the team. Lin Ling then turns to Li Feng and tells him that the pass he made just now was really beautiful and well done and unexpectedly, Li Feng was already standing outside the three-point line waiting for the ball, but Li Feng says back to him that he might be short, but he is not stupid at all. Lin Ling then says to Li Feng that about him being short in height. He totally agrees with that, but the thing that was said after that is not too sure about it, and he also says that just one more score is needed to win, so they should get it quickly so he can go back home and take his precious nap time. Seeing that, others thinks that they seems to be more determined, and they didn't expect two high school freshmen would be able to force Xiaobo into a desperate situation. On the other hand, Wu Gang thinks that Lin Ling can't get careless now as Xiaobo is not going to admit defeat. The people watching them then wonder to themselves about who is going to win this basketball game, but some of them think that it is completely obvious that Lin Ling is going to defeat the blonde-haired guy easily. The blonde-haired guy whose name is Zhang then asks Wu Gang how to play this ball correctly, but Wu Gang gets furious about him asking that kind of question and tells Zhang to play like this in the last round of his life like an idiot would play. After saying that, Wu Gang then thinks to himself that they cannot even win the provinces or cities competition right now, and they need to be in the top 8 teams of the Northern or Southern League to enter the National League, so how can Zhang even talk about entering the National League like this with these kinds of skills? After that happens on the court, Zhang passes the ball over to Wu Gang during the game, but Lin Ling then tries his best to block Wu Gang from scoring a point, but he could not block him at all because Wu Gang's strength and skill level is way above the league level that they are playing at. Yuan Jie thinks to himself that Lin Ling is at a complete disadvantage in this situation right now, but then a player named Xiaobo tries his absolute best to run past Lin Ling on the court, but Lin Ling manages to block his path and stop him from moving forward. Xiaobo then tells Lin Ling that his movement reading and prediction of where he is going is quite accurate and impressive, but he needs to concentrate even more on the game if he wants to stop him. After that happens, Xiaobo strikes Lin Ling's head using his elbow really hard and easily throws the ball into the basket to score while Lin Ling falls down hard on the ground. Everyone who was watching then runs onto the court to check on Lin Ling, who was hit way too hard by Xiaobo's elbow. Li Feng is really worried because Lin Ling is actually bleeding from his head, and Li Feng gets scared about his condition, but then Qinya arrives at the scene and tells Li Feng not to worry about it too much. Qinya tells Li Feng to help her support Lin Ling's head from below because she needs to check where he is hurt and injured, and then she starts wiping away his blood carefully. Qinya then says that Lin Ling's eyes are safe and not damaged as he just temporarily lost consciousness because of the hard impact to his head, and the wound is not deep at all, so she should be able to stop the bleeding soon. She then explains that during exercises or games, the heart pumps the blood faster and that's why he lost that much blood, but she can stop the bleeding as she dealt with a lot of sports injuries. On the other hand, everyone who is watching the game thinks that Xiaobo did that hit on purpose and intentionally because it was definitely not a light hit at all as Lin Ling has been bleeding a lot from his nose after getting hit. Xiaobo then tries to put all the blame on Lin Ling instead of taking responsibility for his own actions, and he says that Lin Ling hit his hand by being careless and not paying attention to what he was doing on the court, but he will still forgive Lin Ling for doing that to him even though it hurt him badly. When Li Feng hears what Xiaobo is saying to everyone around them, he goes over to where Xiaobo is standing on the court and tells him to apologize to Lin Ling right now for what he did to him during the game, but Xiaobo asks Li Feng to say that again because he says he cannot hear him clearly enough at all. Li Feng then yells at Xiaobo to go and apologize to Lin Ling right now for hurting him intentionally on purpose. Everyone who is there then gets surprised to see Li Feng standing up for Lin Ling like that, but Xiaobo asks Li Feng if he is completely blind because Lin Ling was the one who hit him first according to Xiaobo. Li Feng then bites Xiaobo's arm like a wild monkey would bite someone, but then Xiaobo just kicks Li Feng away from him easily. Li Feng then once again asks Xiaobo to apologize to Lin Ling one more time, but Xiaobo says that as long as Li Feng can beat him in a fight, then not just an apology but he will even get down on his knees and kowtow to Lin Ling in front of everyone. When Li Feng hears that challenge from Xiaobo, he then runs straight towards Xiaobo to beat him up, but Wu Gang quickly steps in and stops Li Feng from fighting. When Xiaobo sees Wu Gang standing there, he says in a sarcastic way what is their dear captain doing here today, and if he has so much free time today to come watch them play. Wu Gang says to Xiaobo that he is no longer his captain anymore because of what Xiaobo did to the team, and he should never call him captain ever again in the future. Wu Gang also adds that Xiaobo should stop insulting basketball with his actions, and from now on, he should not cause trouble for any of the basketball team's members either at all. A flashback shows Xiaobo when he first joined the basketball team and introduced himself to Wu Gang, and he said that his dream is to enter the national competition with the team and he wants Wu Gang to give him some advice and help. Back to the present time, Wu Gang tells Yuan Jie to come and help him take Lin Ling to the infirmary right now, so Yuan Jie also decides to help carry Lin Ling, but Wu Gang tells Yuan Jie to take care of himself first because it is the first time he saw someone as reckless as Yuan Jie. Xiaobo then gets furious and tells the crowd of people to look at Wu Gang, who is the captain of their school's wise basketball team, and under his leadership and guidance their school team was finally able to enter the National Men's High School Basketball League competition. However, Xiaobo says that they could have gone much further in the competition, but unfortunately their ideals and hard work were gone with the whistle sound of the last round of the game. He adds that all that happened because of the captain and his last wrong call that he made during the game. Qinya then tells Xiaobo to stop talking right now because first he did match fixing and cheating and got expelled from the team for his actions, and now he is trying to dirty the reputation of their captain Wu Gang, and she asks him if he thinks that only he has dreams and goals. She then asks him if he really think they could have gone any further with his despicable tricks and they could win the championship that easily. Qinya then completely loses her mind and gets really emotional and asks Xiaobo if he ever thinks about how Wu Gang felt as a captain of the basketball team, because Wu Gang could never think of his own dreams and just worked really hard to show his support to everyone on the team. Qinya then starts crying with tears in her eyes and says that instead of supporting Wu Gang he is just slandering him and saying bad things about him, and she cannot take it anymore because the team that her brother once led is shattering and falling apart before her eyes right now. Xiaobo then calls Qinya a monkey, which makes all the boys standing there furious at him. So, Yuan Jie grabs Xiaobo by the collar of his shirt and tells him to repeat what he just said again to her face. Just then at that moment, Lin Ling wakes up from being unconscious and tells Yuan Jie to go back because the matter between him and Xiaobo is not done yet at all and he cannot let Xiaobo go that easily. When Xiaobo sees him standing there, he feels completely shocked and stunned by what he is looking at, but Lin Ling tells him that in this basketball game there is still no winner decided yet at this point. Qinya asks Lin Ling to please stop playing right now because if he keeps continuing the game, his wound might open up and start bleeding all over again, and she really begs him to stop playing this game that does not mean anything anymore. However, Lin Ling tells her that he now has a really important reason to win this basketball game at this moment, and then, Wu Gang steps in and stops Qinya from saying anything more to him. Lin Ling then turns over to Li Feng and asks him if Xiaobo said something earlier that sounded like it would be 10,000 years before Lin Ling could ever beat him again in basketball, so now Lin Ling really wants to defeat Xiaobo badly like a cow in this game they are playing right now. The basketball match then starts up again with Lin Ling holding the ball really tightly in his hands, and everyone in the crowd starts cheering super loud for Lin Ling to keep going strong and not give up on the game. Zhang tries to take the ball away from Ling, but he just can't even get close to touching it because Ling sweeps it away and right away starts running really fast towards the basketball hoop. When everyone sees this happening, they are all pretty surprised by how reluctant and determined he really is in that moment, but right when Ling gets closer and closer to the basket, Xiaobo suddenly shows up out of nowhere to try and steal the ball from him. Lin Ling quickly switches the direction he is dribbling the basketball from behind his back, but Xiaobo is not willing to give up at that moment, and he makes another attempt to steal the basketball away from Lin Ling one more time. Lin Ling then moves the ball to a different direction as both Zhang and Xiaobo start running in his direction with a lot of determination and focus on their faces. The injury on Ling's body becomes significantly worse as blood continues to spread all over the basketball court, but he refuses to stop playing and sprints as quickly as possible toward the basketball hoop. Zhang and Xiaobo both leap up into the air at the same time to try to block his shot, and Xiaobo expresses to Lin Ling that he should not continue making pointless efforts and unnecessary struggles since their team is already behind and losing the game at this point. Lin Ling cannot open his eyes at all because of all that blood covering his face, but then he remembers his past memories due to the smell of it. He thinks about the time when he was resting peacefully on the school's rooftop, thinking that if he did not play basketball today, he should just stay awake during those boring class calls and buy some vanilla ice cream later, which seems to be a perfect day for him. Just then, Lin Ling's close friend shows up at the rooftop and asks if he is already tired from everything, who tells him to get up right now as this is far from the goal of 1,000 shots and he is already trying to give up on it. He then tells Lin Ling not to forget the rule that the one who gives up first will have to buy ice cream for the other, and the one who lasts longer or finishes first will be able to enjoy a free ice cream without paying anything. He then says that Ling pays for it every single time, which is getting really boring for him, so when will he be able to beat him and make him pay for the ice cream instead? Ling then asks him what they are doing all this hard work for, so the boy tells him that they are doing this to win games and in the future, they can go further together with this basketball dream. He explains to him that they can go to the Chinese Junior High School Basketball League or even overseas to play, and basketball is not a one-person sport at all, so as a partner he is not allowed to hold him back at any point. Hearing all of that from him, Lin Ling starts laughing out loud and says that he looks down on him way too much and he even forgot to bring his wallet with him today, so losing is not an option for him anymore at all. Back in the present time, Li Feng thinks to himself that he trained this particular shot for 3 whole years at a 38-degree angle, 5 meters away from the basket, and he can hit almost every single shot perfectly. Lin Ling then quickly passes the ball back to Li Feng with perfect timing, and he then throws the ball up high, thinking that he is going to fulfill his dream of joining the basketball team no matter what happens, and he cannot be treated as a joke anymore and show everyone what he is truly capable of doing. The ball then goes straight into the basket perfectly. That surprises everyone watching the game, and they all start cheering loudly for Li Feng and Lin Ling, saying that Xiaobo is probably crying right now after losing that point to them on the court. Afterward, Lin Ling almost falls unconscious on the ground, but Wu Gang catches him just in time and tells him to endure it for a little longer because he will get him to the infirmary as soon as possible right now. Seeing that happening, everyone else from the crowd also enters the basketball court to help Lin Ling, and they start appreciating Lin Ling for his amazing performance. On the other hand, Xiaobo cannot believe that he actually lost to that kid in the game, but then Yuan Jie shows up at the court and tells Zhang to move out of his way immediately. He then grabs Xiaobo by his collar tightly, but Qinya shouts at him to stop fighting again on the court. However, Yuan Jie does not mess up with Xiaobo physically, and instead he whispers something quietly in his ear and tells him happily that they are going to meet up later somewhere else. After that, Qinya gets furious at Yuan Jie for going after Xiaobo and asks why he went to him just now, so he tells her that he just went to encourage him to play better next time in the game. He then asks her if she cannot see that he badly injured Lin Ling on the court, but Qinya says that the captain has already taken him to the infirmary with the others, so he should go and help them out right now. The crowd then starts making fun of Xiaobo loudly, saying that it was really satisfying seeing the bullies lose the game and they should just leave the court now. On the other hand, the boys are furious that they have to get 10 popsicles because Yuan Jie told them to, even though every single penny of his pocket money is very important to him right now. Just then, a cute girl arrives at the court and takes a picture of the basketball court along with another guy who is wearing the new Air Jordan shoes on his feet. The other guy asks him if he is really excited over just a pair of shoes, but he says that the pair of shoes costs over 5,000 yuan, which means that this guy might be a rich second-generation young master. They also think that this guy is so tall, which makes him over 2 meters in height. However, the Air Jordan guy wonders if Lin Ling is really a freshman student at the school, but then he notices someone with a crappy wolf cut hairstyle and quickly recalls him from senior 1 class in the school. The wolf cut guy was famous throughout the whole school because of his super awesome basketball plays and skills, and he turns out to be the top scorer in the provincial division, Wu Longbin, who everyone knows about in the area. Longbin then wonders if it is really true that the enemies do not meet so often, but he thinks that nothing has changed at all as Lin Ling is still persistent as always with his attitude. Lin Ling is actually in the hospital room right now where the doctor is trying their best to apply treatment of him for his injuries. Sometime later, Qinya, Li Feng, and Wu Gang keep sitting together in Lin Ling's hospital room, where Qinya speaks to Li Feng in a calm and caring way. She tells him that he really does not need to worry so much about what is happening, because the doctor clearly says that Lin Ling is perfectly fine and not in serious danger, and that they should just let him rest properly so his body can heal without any pressure or stress. Even so, Li Feng shares that he feels very angry with himself right now, because he truly believes that this whole situation happens only because of his own actions. He thinks that if he does not lose his temper and does not challenge Xiaobo to play in the match from the very beginning, then none of this painful situation happens at all. He then explains that Xiaobo says hurtful things about Wu Gang and the basketball team while they are talking, and even though he is not officially part of the team. Because of that, he ends up accepting the challenge without thinking about it carefully or logically, and he acts on his emotions instead of calmly thinking the situation through from start to finish. Qinya tells him very clearly that it's not his fault at all and all this happened because of Xiaobo's actions and behavior, so he should really stop with his negative attitude right now. Wu Gang then looks straight at Li Feng and asks him to answer his questions properly. He also asks him if he truly wants to join the basketball team for real this time instead of just acting on feelings. At the same time, Xiaobo and Zhang stand together on the rooftop of the school building because Yuan Jie tells them earlier to come there and meet him, and they follow his words and show up without delay. Yuan Jie is already waiting at the rooftop when they arrive, and he calmly eats his popsicle while casually saying that it does not matter much anymore, because arriving late is still better than trying to run away from the situation no matter what happens. Right after that, Xiaobo suddenly rushes forward and runs straight toward Yuan Jie, but Yuan Jie quickly reacts and throws a strong punch directly into Xiaobo's face, stopping him in his tracks immediately. He then tells him directly that he is really too slow in his movements and he was just acting tough in the court today, but now he will play with him seriously and he will fight until he kneels down and admits his mistakes completely. Zhang then quickly asks if he is doing all this because of Lin Ling getting hurt, but Yuan Jie says clearly that he is doing all this for Qinya instead of Lin Ling. Yuan Jie then tells them to remember this clearly and carefully, that he is beating them just to make sure they never forget how to behave in front of Qinya ever again in the future. After that moment passes, Xiaobo runs straight towards Yuan Jie with intense anger and frustration, but he once again beats him up like a punching bag without any trouble at all. Then, Yuan Jie says that he thought he could play around a lot today with them, so he was really looking forward to it with excitement, but this is getting way too boring for him. Now, he has to hurry back quickly and say he went to the bathroom or else Qinya will start suspecting him of something strange happening. Afterward, we get a flashback scene of Lin Ling's middle school game where his team is currently against another team who is just 2 points ahead of them at the moment. Ling quickly tells everyone on his team to get ready and focus because they are only 2 points behind right now and they can easily win this match if they try hard. He further encourages them passionately that they trained so hard to win the tournament that they absolutely cannot fail now at this point. They still have 19 seconds left on the clock, so they should definitely win the game no matter what. Lin Ling then notices his friend who seems not too well physically and appears to be struggling. The other guy sitting in the bench asks if he is alright and that they can substitute him out if he is not feeling well at all, but he says that he is fine and Lin Ling is right about everything. They have worked so hard to come here to this point, so they absolutely cannot accept failure in any way. He then tells others on the team that they have to win this game if they want to move towards their goal and dreams, and then everyone gets cheered up and says enthusiastically that they are going to win for sure. After that moment, everyone in the crowd starts cheering loudly and says that there are only 19 seconds left on the clock, but they can still win the game if they play well. The match then continues with he having the ball in his possession and he quickly runs towards the basket with speed as another guy from the opponent team is following him closely and trying to stop him. He sees clearly that Lin Ling is already standing beside the basket zone waiting for him, so he just runs past him quickly as Lin Ling does a pick and roll move to block the guy who is chasing. However, 2 more players try to go after E to defend him and stop his advance, but then he passes the ball back to Lin Ling instead of shooting it himself. He then throws the ball towards the basket and it goes inside successfully, and the goal turns out to be a 3-pointer shot that leads Lin Ling's team by 1 point ahead, but there is still 7 seconds left on the clock. He then shouts loudly at everyone to go back to defense immediately, and then the ball gets passed to the opponent team's player Longbin, who runs straight towards the basket with determination, and then just as 2 seconds are left remaining, he throws the ball straight towards the basket and wins the match for his team at the last moment. Seeing that incredible play, everyone starts cheering for him loudly and says excitedly that he is worthy of being their trump card and star player. Lin Ling then wakes up suddenly from his dream, calling Yi's name out loud in the hospital room. Everyone then asks Lin Ling if he is okay and feeling alright, but Lin Ling tells them that he just had a bad dream and nothing more. Li Feng says with curiosity that he just woke up while shouting Yi's name, so who is that person, but Lin Ling says directly that it has nothing to do with him at all, so he should stop asking questions, and if he won't have a problem with it, then he should just leave him alone for now. Wu Gang then says carefully that even though it's a bit inappropriate at the moment to bring this up, but there is something important that he needs to say to him right now. At the same time, the cute girl from before runs quickly in the hallway as she is trying her best to find the infirmary room in the building. She then notices Longbin standing directly in front of the infirmary room door, but then she peeks inside the room carefully to find Lin Ling and the others there. After that moment, Wu Gang tells Ling directly that he wanted to invite him to their basketball team officially, but at the end of the day, it's up to him to decide for himself, and he hopes to see him in the team eventually. However, Lin Ling apologizes to him sincerely and says that he is not interested in joining any basketball team at all, which surprises everyone in the room completely. Li Feng quickly says to him with confusion that he was so good at it during the match against Xiaobo earlier in the day, and when he was playing on the court, it didn't feel like he was not interested in it at all or lacking passion. Before Ling could reply with anything at all, Longbin says directly and bluntly that he was blindly evading the problem, which is definitely not like him when he is on the court playing basketball. He then says honestly that he looks like a weakling who is afraid of fighting his problems head on, so where are those guts of his from the court right now? He then adds seriously that before today happened, he used to admire him greatly and look up to him, but after seeing this behavior it's just limited to court only, as he and Deng Yimin worked really hard together on their skills and he was even more talented than him naturally with his abilities, but in the world of basketball there are people who are more hardworking and talented than both of them combined together. He then says that if he ends up like this, just because he lost in a single game, then it means he was just trying to escape the truth and reality, because no matter how good he is at basketball, there will come a day when he will meet someone whose strength will make him wonder if his efforts over the past years were meaningful or not at all. Before leaving the room, Longbin says that with his current strength and mindset, even if he plays against him for over 100 years he won't be able to beat him ever. After that conversation, Wu Gang tells Lin Ling directly that they will leave now and won't bother him about it anymore at all, but he still hopes that he considers it carefully. The next morning, everyone gets back to school and 2 boys talk about how they are going to have 2 weeks of hardcore training for the next 2 weeks ahead. The other guy says with confusion that he doesn't know why the freshmen are having to do this hardcore training at all, but then, they notice Lin Ling walking past them in the hallway. They think immediately that he is from the video who defeated a senior player from the basketball team, and he seems to be really good at basketball because he defeated the genius Xiaobo from the national basketball team yesterday. Lin Ling then notices clearly that everyone is just staring at him intensely, so he quickly runs towards his class to avoid the attention completely. He then enters the class quickly and wonders why everyone is just staring at him because his clothes aren't upside down or anything and there is no strange smell either on him. He then finds Li Feng sitting on the bench in the classroom, so he quickly walks up to him right away. He tells him honestly that it feels weird today as everyone has been just staring at him constantly, and the scariest part is that even the classmates are staring at him like that. Li Feng then asks him with surprise if he doesn't know that he is actually a celebrity in the school right now, but Lin Ling wonders confusedly what he means by that exactly. Li Feng then shows him a video of yesterday's game on his phone and says that he doesn't know who posted the video of yesterday's game on the school site, but it went viral overnight. Lin Ling then says that his head started hurting all of a sudden, but Li Feng still thinks about him refusing to join the basketball team earlier that day. Li Feng then was about to ask him about that decision, but he quickly changes the topic by asking if he knew about military training that everyone has been talking about recently. Lin Ling replies that he knew it since a long time ago already, so why is he looking forward to it or something like that at all, but Li Feng replies excitedly that what he is most anticipated in is the tradition of their school specifically, and in order to strengthen the bond between classmates during those 2 weeks of training ahead, they will be having a basketball game among the first-year students of high school together as a competition. Meanwhile, Longbin's classmate tells him that Lin Ling is really good at basketball from what they saw, so they don't know what will happen to them in the upcoming game during training at all, but Longbin is actually excited for the match. After some days pass by, everyone in the school gets themselves ready for the military training that is about to begin. In order to make the unity between all the different classes much stronger, the school decides to hold basketball games between all the freshman classes during the time of military training, and this has been a long-standing tradition that happens every year at the 9th middle school. However, for all the basketball-loving students who study on the campus of 9th middle school, the relatively boring and repetitive military training is without a doubt the gospel and the best news they could possibly hear. Li Feng feels actually confused, and he wonders about why their school even bothers to organize military training sessions for all the new students instead of just organizing the basketball game directly without any training at all. He really feels envious and jealous of Lin Ling because Lin Ling managed to escape from having to participate in the training sessions thanks to the injury that he got. Lin Ling sits down on the bench and carefully watches Longbin while he thinks deeply about all the different moves and techniques that Longbin made and performed when he was playing at the basketball championship game that he had to play against him in before. After some time passes by, the military training session finally comes to an end, and Li Feng walks over to Lin Ling and asks him if he can come along with him because he needs to go and bring back his water bottle from where he left it. Once they finish getting the water bottle, Lin Ling looks at Li Feng and notices that he looks like he is half turned into a crow because of his tan, so he asks him if he did not bother to use any sunscreen lotion on his skin before going out in the sun. Li Feng responds back to his question by asking him if using sunscreen is really something that is required for everyone or if all the other people around them use it as well on a regular basis. Right after saying that, he starts to show off by saying that even if his skin gets tan from the sun, it does not matter to him at all because this particular color is actually the exact color that every single man out there should have on their skin anyway, in his opinion. After hearing what Li Feng just said to him, Lin Ling wonders about why he somehow forgot the fact that Li Feng is actually pretty dumb and does not think things through properly at all. Just then, the other students from different classes recognize Lin Ling and start comparing him to Longbin, who is also really strong at basketball. They think that in this class match, the strength of their class should not be underestimated at all, but Longbin from class 13 is also very strong and he is the best shooter on the court. Lin Ling then finds Longbin walking past him, so he tells him that all he needs is just one game in this basketball game to destroy him completely. Later at the washroom, Li Feng walks up to Lin Ling and asks him if his injury is doing okay and healing properly, so Lin Ling replies back to him that it has already been a whole week since he got himself injured, so he has more or less completely recovered from it by now. Lin Ling tells Li Feng that he is already feeling hungry for a battle and competition and he cannot wait any longer to play, despite the fact that he previously said before that he is not interested in playing basketball anymore at all. Lin Ling then explains and says that for that to happen, they first need to draw lots and pick their positions, then divide into different groups, and only after all of that is done will the game actually begin for real. After that moment passes by, everyone starts getting themselves ready and prepared at the basketball court, where a total of 16 different classes will be participating and competing against each other in the tournament. Some students think that their own class will not even make it all the way to the end of the tournament successfully. The crowd of students then starts cheering very loudly and enthusiastically for class number 6, and one guy who is from that particular class turns to his teammates and tells them that all their classmates from class 6 are doing their absolute best to cheer for them and support them, so they should also do their very best to repay them for all their support and encouragement. However, after saying all of that, he suddenly realizes and notices that his teammates are not actually listening to anything that he is saying to them right now, and they are just staring at the girls in the crowd like complete freaks who have never seen girls before in their entire lives. After seeing all the girls standing there himself personally, he also gets hooked and distracted by them and says out loud that class number 2 is so incredibly lucky and fortunate that they have so many beautiful girls in their class right now, but now he actually wants to transfer and join their class as well to be with them. Finally, it is time for the draw to begin and start, and represented members of each class are requested to come forward and draw the lots for their positions. Just as the members are walking forward and taking their turn at the draw one by one, the staff member stands in front of everyone and explains all the rules very clearly, that there are a total of 15 different classes in the competition, and each class will send out 3 members from their class to participate in a 3 versus 3 competition game against other classes. He says that the opponents that each team will face in the first round of the game are determined and decided by the order of the draw that they pick right now. Moreover, they will be divided into 8 different groups because this is going to be an elimination game directly without any breaks at all, so there will be no second chances given to anyone who loses, but the winner of each match advances forward to the next round of the competition. The winner of group number 1 will compete and play against the winner of group number 2 in the next stage. Furthermore, the staff explains that if the game runs out completely and both sides have scored less than 15 points in total, then the team that has more points between the two wins the match, and if any team manages to score 15 points before the time ends and runs out, then they automatically win right away. Then, Longbin walks up and takes his turn at the draw as well, and after him it becomes Linling's turn to pick. It turns out that Linling's class will compete with Longbin's class in their match. After that, everyone starts wondering why there are so many people gathered and crowded at Class 13's basketball court right now, but some students think that it might be because they all want to watch Longbin play and see his skills in action. Class number 13 and another class team then enter the court together and get ready, and everyone in the crowd starts cheering very loudly for Longbin to completely destroy Linling and his entire team without mercy. Another boy who is watching thinks that Class 13's team looks so fierce and intimidating with their presence, and Longbin seems to have become the main focus and center of attention as soon as he came up and walked onto the court. At the coin toss to decide who gets the ball first in the match today, Longbin's team easily wins it. Just as Longbin is about to grab the ball to start playing the game right away, someone else from his own team quickly takes it away from him and says that he wants to be the one to serve the ball first instead of Longbin. Longbin says that it does not matter at all who serves the ball first in the game at all, because the end result is going to be exactly the same no matter what happens during the match today. After that exchange happens between them on the court, the match between class number 13 and class number 9 officially begins and starts with everyone watching closely and paying attention to the players. The guy who just took the ball runs straight towards the other team's defense line, and he quickly manages to dodge everyone in his way and easily throws the ball in the basket for a score. Seeing that play happen, everyone gets surprised and shocked and thinks that the slam dunk was really awesome to watch. They think that the match just started only moments ago and Longbin's team just did a slam dunk, which is completely unbelievable to them. They then start cheering loudly for Delay, who did the slam dunk move, and some even wonder how they are going to fight against Class 13 because the players are full of monsters and talent. Delay then looks at Longbin, who seems to be staring at him for a while now, but Longbin just ignores him completely, which makes him really furious. At the same time, Li Feng tries to start talking about Delay and his performance, but Linling quickly tells him to stop talking and focus on watching the match instead of getting distracted. The match then continues on with the crowd of students cheering very loudly and enthusiastically for Delay to make another dunk shot on the court, and with all that support and encouragement, Delay continues to throw several powerful dunk shots into the basket one after another without stopping or missing any of them. In the end, the final score of the fourth group match is 15 points to 6 points, and class number 13 successfully advances forward to the next round of the tournament competition. After the match finishes completely, everyone rushes over to Longbin and surrounds him closely, and they ask him curiously if he has a girlfriend or someone special in his life right now, but it turns out that he has been a loner for ages and does not have anyone at all in his life. Some time passes by. The students from the second half of the competition enter the basketball court to play their matches today, and from that group of students walking in, Linling is one of them who walks onto the court confidently. After that moment, Li Feng walks over to Linling and tells him very clearly that he will not be playing in this particular game because he knows that Linling's real goal and target in today's game is actually Longbin and not anyone else. He also knows his own limits and abilities very well, so he does not want to interrupt or get in the way of Linling's plans at all. Li Feng further tells Linling that Fang Chao and Zhang Yuanbua are also really good and skilled players who can perform well, but they are kind of worse and not as talented as Li Feng himself is when compared directly. Before the match officially starts, Li Feng tells both of them that even though he cannot play in the game himself, he will still be cheering for them from the sidelines with all his energy and effort, so they should do their absolute best and destroy the other team completely. However, Linling says that he would actually prefer to have cheers and support from beautiful girls instead of guys, but this situation is okay and acceptable for now, and that they are going to win this match no matter what happens. The match then officially begins with Zhang and Yuanbo throwing impressive shots directly into the basket that excites the entire crowd of people watching. The match does not stop there at all, because Linling also shows off his own amazing moves and skills by throwing the ball perfectly into the basket as well. Everyone then thinks that Class 14 is so fierce, and they even got a big lead from the very start. Some of them even believes that Linling is so good that he is the only one who can fight Class 13 head-on, but Li Feng notices delay. The crowd of students then starts wondering out loud and saying that Class number 2 is not even an opponent or a challenge at all for Class 14, as Class 14 is literally dominating and crushing the entire game completely, and it looks just like seeing a fully grown adult playing a game against 5-year-old little kids who do not know anything. On the other hand, a boy walks up to Longbin and gives him a water bottle while saying that it was so incredibly hard to find him in this crowd, but Longbin asks the boy if he actually knows who he is supposed to be. After hearing that, the boy completely freaks out and he says that in the middle school league competition he came and played against Linling's team in a match, and they all took a group photo together at the end of the game when it finished, so he is actually Zhang Yi and Longbin should remember him. Zhang Yi then pulls out his phone and shows Longbin the group picture that they took together, but Longbin stares at it and has absolutely no idea where Zhang Yi is supposed to be in the photo. Zhang Yi tells him to zoom in really close on the picture, and it turns out that he is somewhere far back in the audience seat area like a background character or an NPC. Moreover, Longbin tells him that he has to leave because he wants to practice for his upcoming game. After that match finishes, Class number 14 also moves forward and advances to the second half of the tournament, where they are going to play against Class number 4 and Class number 13 are going to compete and play against Class number 11 in their own match. First it is Zhang Yi's match that begins, and all the girls in the crowd start cheering very loudly and enthusiastically for him with excitement, so the other team's player starts to wonder in his mind what is wrong with these girls because it is getting so incredibly annoying and distracting for him. The opposing player then thinks to himself that Zhang Yi's height is pretty average and not impressive, and everything single thing about him and his appearance looks completely average and normal as well. Just as the match officially starts, Zhang Yi quickly runs past the guy with incredible speed, and the way that he is running so incredibly fast. This makes the other guy think in his mind that Zhang Yi is getting faster and faster with every second that passes, as it does not even look like he is running on a basketball court at all anymore. Zhang Yi then very quickly passes the ball over to his teammate when he gets blocked by an opponent, and the teammate quickly catches it and throws the ball directly into the basket and scores a point for their team successfully. He then tells Zhang Yi that he is far accurate than him when it comes to shooting, so he wouldn't disappoint him. The match then continues on, and the opponent team's player keeps wondering in his confused mind if there is some kind of a motor or an engine installed in Zhang Yi's legs, because he keeps throwing the ball into the basket one after another without stopping or slowing down at all, and with all of that incredible performance Zhang Yi's team successfully advances forward to the next round of the tournament. Zhang Yi then starts celebrating his victory very happily and excitedly by jumping around, and he says out loud that his dream and goal will finally come true and become a reality. But his teammates quickly tell him not to feel too satisfied or comfortable with this win, because their next opponent that they have to face is none other than the powerful Class number 14. After that game finishes, Class number 13 also wins their match successfully and impressively, and they advance forward to the top 4 teams that are remaining in the tournament competition. Now the matchups for the semi-final rounds are Class number 3 going against and competing with Class number 13, and Class number 14 going against and playing with Class number 7 in their own separate game. Both of the matches will start at exactly the same time as each other without any delay, and the games will officially start and begin after a 10-minute break period is completely over. At the same time, a guy walks up to Wu Gang and tells him that he is such an amazing and responsible captain of the team, since he actually skipped his class just to come and watch the game here. Wu Gang looks at him and asks the guy if he is not feeling shameless at all to say something like that, because he himself is a deputy captain who also skipped the class as well and came here too. Afterward, the green head guy asks Wu Gang what happened to Linling, as he haven't heard of him since he got discharged, but Wu Gang remains quiet. He replies that this is getting even more interesting than expected, as the selection of new players starts after the military training, and this could be the last chance for him. The green head guy says that it is completely true what Wu Gang is saying, but as long as Linling finally recognizes himself and his own abilities, then it is never too late for anything to happen. The green head guy mentions that some people say and believe that everything is all good and fine as long as the boat goes straight and stays on course at times of need and difficulty, but when compared to them and their team who are going through so much trouble and working so hard to get the trump card and winning advantage. At the same time, Zhang Yi finally manages to take a picture together with Longbin, who looks totally annoyed and irritated by the whole situation happening around him. After that picture is taken, the match between Zhang Yi's team and Longbin's team officially begins and starts, as Delay watches Zhang Yi carefully and thinks to himself that Zhang Yi's height is pretty average and nothing special. Delay wonders if Zhang Yi's dribbling technique is positioned too far away from his body and the frequency and speed of his dribbling is way too slow for a proper player. However, the ball is bouncing way too high off the ground surface, which clearly means and indicates that Zhang Yi is actually really bad and unskilled at dribbling the ball properly. Suddenly, Zhang Yi passes the ball underneath Delay's legs, which completely catches him off guard, but it turns out that it is not actually a pass to a teammate at all. Zhang Yi quickly runs towards the ball and manages to get it back by fooling and tricking Delay completely. Zhang Yi then runs directly towards the basket with full speed, and instead of passing the ball to his own teammate who is open, he decides to pass it over to Longbin from the opposing team. Zhang Yi's teammate gets really annoyed and wonders why Zhang Yi did not just join Longbin's team instead of their own team if he just wanted to pass the ball to Longbin all along during the game. Then after receiving the pass from Zhang Yi, Longbin manages to very easily throw the ball into the basket and score a point for his team, and everyone in the crowd starts making fun of Zhang Yi loudly, calling him a complete idiot for what he just did. Zhang Yi does not stop there with his admiration and thinks that Longbin is really his idol who lives up to his expectations perfectly, but then his teammates start beating him up for helping the other team. After that moment passes, Zhang Yi turns to Delay and tells him confidently that he is going to get serious and try his hardest now, but Zhang Yi's teammate suddenly just throws the ball directly at his face. He says that Zhang Yi should catch it and pay attention. Seeing that interaction happen, Wu Gang thinks to himself that at least Zhang Yi's teammates are quite close enough to him to keep a close call and watch on him, so he does not keep losing focus and making mistakes repeatedly. The match then resumes and continues with Zhang Yi having possession of the ball in his hands, and Delay tries his absolute best to steal the ball away from him, but Zhang Yi just skillfully dodges the steal attempt and quickly runs in another direction away from him. Zhang Yi runs straight and directly towards the basket with full speed, as another player from the opposing team comes in his way to block his path, but Zhang Yi passes the ball over to his teammate at the right moment. The teammate then catches it and throws the ball straight into the basket successfully, which makes other people watching think and realize that Zhang Yi is actually really fast with his movements, and their cooperation and teamwork is actually quite good and effective. The game continues on with Zhang Yi and his teammate throwing the ball into the basket one after another without missing many shots, and now they are in the lead with a total of 7 points ahead of the other team. Seeing that, the green head guy watches closely and says that Delay is still way too impulsive and rushes into things without thinking, so they should stick with defending and guarding Zhang Yi more carefully for now. Longbin also notices and realizes that there is something wrong and off with Delay's performance and mindset right now, and then Longbin catches the ball and throws it perfectly into the basket, scoring another point for his team. Longbin then walks over to Delay and tells him not to be in such a rush all the time during the game, and he should stay in his assigned position on the court and guard his post as if his entire life depends on it and nothing else in the world matters at all. More importantly, Longbin tells Delay that he should recognize and understand his own strengths and abilities properly. He adds that he should understand what he is actually good at doing on the court, instead of trying to do everything by himself without thinking clearly about his role on the team. Zhang Yi once again tries his absolute best to run past Delay with his usual speed and technique that he always uses, but this time around he just could not manage to get past him at all, so he wonders if Delay just suddenly changed his entire playstyle and approach to the game completely. Zhang Yi realizes he is stuck in his position and quickly passes the ball over to his teammate to avoid losing possession of the ball, but Longbin reads the play perfectly with his basketball skills and steals the ball away from them before it reaches his teammate on the other side. Afterward, Longbin quickly passes the ball over to Delay, who then immediately starts running quickly towards the basket with determination. Delay's teammate keeps shouting loudly at him to pass the ball over to him for a better shot, but Delay does not pass the ball to him at all and instead gets blocked by Zhang Yi's teammate, who jumps in front of him. Delay then jumps up high into the air and tries to throw the ball into the basket anyway, but Zhang Yi's teammate also jumps up and tries to block the shot, so the ball ends up hitting his fingertip at the last second and does not go inside the basket. However, Longbin reacts incredibly quickly and gets the rebound ball right away, and he throws it inside the basket at exactly the right time, scoring the point for his team successfully. Longbin then turns to Delay and tells him seriously that he should pass the ball over to him next time, instead of trying to force bad shots. The match then continues on with Longbin showing off and demonstrating his amazing skills and abilities by throwing the ball into the basket with perfect accuracy and technique, which excites and pumps up all the fans watching in the crowd. The fans think and say to each other that this performance is exactly as expected from an ace player like Longbin. Zhang Yi does not give up at all either, as he shows off his incredible techniques and moves to stand face to face directly against both Delay and Longbin at the same time. However, the big problem with Delay right now is that he is not passing the ball to his other teammates at all, despite Longbin telling him continuously and repeatedly to do so throughout the game. Wu Gang watches the game carefully and thinks that although the overall strength is not as strong and impressive as Class 13's team because Class 3's team cooperates and works together quite well with each other. Zhang Yi then manages to break through the defense and throw the ball into the basket successfully, and his teammate is surprised and did not think at all that Zhang Yi would be able to score this much against such tough opponents. Zhang Yi says that he only started playing basketball not too long ago, so he is actually not bad at all at shooting the ball. The other guy on their team tells both Zhang Yi and his teammate that their score is completely tied with the other team as of right now at this moment, but they absolutely cannot and should not take the next shot lightly at all because one mistake could cost them the game. After that warning from earlier, the match continues on with Longbin having possession of the ball in his hands right now, and he comes face to face directly with Zhang Yi's teammate who is trying his best to defend against him on the court. In just a blink of a second and without any hesitation, Longbin quickly runs past the defender with incredible speed and agility in his movements and shoots the ball straight towards the basket with perfect shooting form. The shot turns out to be a three-pointer shot that goes in perfectly through the net and scores 3 points for his team on the scoreboard. After that, Class 13 moves forward to the final round and then everyone starts cheering really loudly for Longbin, calling him a beast over and over again. Delai then notices that Zhang Yi is not even feeling bad about losing his own matches and instead, he is offering to get down on his knees in front of Longbin to show how much he respects him. When they see that, Zhang Yi's teammates start beating him up and calling him a traitor for playing in favor of Longbin during the game. Zhang Yi tells his friends not to hit him in the face this time around because he has to cheer for Longbin later on, so it will be a problem if Longbin doesn't recognize who he is. Sometime later, Zhang Yi shows up with his face all bruised up and beaten and he thinks in his mind that the guy standing right in front of him is actually Longbin, but the guy asks Zhang Yi if he should call the ambulance to get him some medical help right away. He tells Zhang Yi that Longbin is actually standing right behind him at this moment, so he quickly turns around and tells Longbin that compared to his intense summer basketball training sessions, this injury is nothing at all. When he hears that, Longbin asks him if he really did learn basketball just 2.5 months ago, but Zhang Yi says that he actually did learn the game in such a short amount of time. Furthermore, Zhang Yi tells him that he was actually on the track team back in junior high school and was given the nickname of the Little Prince of Racing by everyone, but when he saw him play basketball, he decided to follow in his footsteps and entered high school with the goal to become a basketball player. Longbin then smiles for the first time in a really long time and tells Zhang Yi that he was really awesome out there. When he hears that compliment, Zhang Yi goes completely insane with excitement and starts celebrating and jumping around because of the compliment that Longbin just gave him. Meanwhile, the green-haired guy asks Wu Gang how Linling's game is going right now at this moment, so he tells him that it is pretty obvious that he is winning his match easily and the final match of the championship is where the main star players will collide and compete with each other on the court. It is a 10-minute break now for everyone and Linling thinks about his past memories where his friend tells Linling that it is rare to meet such a strong opponent like Longbin in their basketball careers. Linling then asks AE if he is admitting defeat already at this point as their original goal was not to stop here in the competition but was to go further than this together as a team. Back in the present time, the cute girl from Linling's class brings him a water bottle to drink and just as he tries to grab it with his hand, Li Feng pushes him away from her. Li Feng tells Linling that Fang Chao and Zhang Yuanhua are already waiting for him on the court and he adds that he will buy them ice cream if they win this match today. After that moment, it is tossing time and Class 14 wins the toss, which means they are going to get the ball first in the game. The ball then gets to Linling and everyone thinks in their minds that it is one on one of the ace players right from the very start of the game. They think that Linling's momentum does not look bad at all right now and it feels like he is bound to win this round against his opponent completely. Just then in that moment, Linling runs straight towards the basket with speed but Longbin also follows him closely from behind. Linling uses his insane tricks and moves to try and avoid Longbin on the court but then, Linling just keeps a safe distance and throws the ball straight into the basket for a score. Seeing that move happen, Longbin gets surprised and shocked and thinks in his mind that it is the same exact move that he did in the past before. Afterward, Li Feng starts yelling loudly that Linling is so handsome that he wants to have his babies but the others quickly take their distance away from him, thinking he is really weird and strange. Li Feng then asks them not to go away from him as they should continue to cheer for Linling together as a group. Meanwhile at the same time on the sidelines, Zhang Yi overhears some people in the crowd talking about how incredibly strong and skilled Linling is right now that even someone as good as Longbin cannot defend properly against him at all on the court. Zhang Yi turns to them and tells them that he has seen a lot of this kind of waves and hype before in previous games already, and as cheerleaders their main job is to cheer for their team as loud as they possibly can to increase their momentum and energy levels during the match. Li Feng then starts dancing around like a baddie with exaggerated movements and he tells everyone around him to dance along with him in the same exact way, so they can all cheer together for the other players on the court and give them support. Back at the basketball court where the game is happening, Lin Ling and Longbin both get back to their assigned positions on the court to continue playing the match, but Delay suddenly gets furious at what is happening and he aggressively steals the ball away from Lin Ling. Seeing that, everyone in the crowd thinks that Delay is so confident and bold in his playing style on the court, but then Lin Ling very quickly steals the ball right back from Delay's hand. He then immediately scores a point for his team by throwing the ball perfectly into the basket successfully without any trouble. Delay then gets furious and frustrated and takes the ball from Longbin's hand forcefully, saying he is going to do it again and score this time. Longbin thinks in his mind that this guy has totally lost his mind completely, which might impact the team's performance negatively. After that, Delay struggles against Lin Ling on the court, and just as he jumps up to throw the ball in the basket for a score, Lin Ling pushes him away with his body. The ball then hits the pole hard and rebounds back into the air, so Lin Ling quickly catches it with his hands. Delay does not give up at all and tries to steal the ball from Lin Ling, but he uses his insane dribbling skills to dodge him and throws the ball in the basket perfectly. The score is already 5 points by 0 points, and it turns out Class 13 is not doing that good right now in this game. After that play, the ball gets to Longbin and everyone starts cheering for him loudly, saying they truly believe in him and his skills. Everyone then wonders what Delay is doing on the court, as he does not seem like Lin Ling's opponent at all, and if he had not been so stubborn about things, Class 13 would not have been in such a disadvantageous position right now. Lin Ling then quickly runs to get the ball back, but Delay does a pick and roll move in which he stands right in front of Lin Ling to block his path completely, so that Longbin could get away from there easily without any trouble. Longbin then throws the ball straight in the basket for a score, and Zhang Yi and his supportive squad starts cheering for him really enthusiastically from the sidelines. Longbin then tells Delay that it was a great block, but there is more to him than just this, as it's under the rim where he can prove himself rebounding. The match then continues on with Lin Ling having the ball in his possession, and he thinks in his mind that Longbin's stance and posture seems different from before, as if he is trying to block his right shot specifically. At the same time, the green-haired guy thinks that Longbin is at Lin Ling's right 45-degree standing position. Longbin thinks that he is covering Lin Ling's right side completely to prevent him from breaking through in the right direction at all, while at the same time using his right hand to block Lin Ling's vision and prevent him from taking a right-hand shot. However, Lin Ling manages to completely dodge and get past Longbin with incredible skill and agility on the court. Lin Ling quickly jumps around Delay with an acrobatic move in the air and throws the ball straight at the backboard, where the ball hits the surface and it goes inside the basket. After that, Longbin walks over to Delay and tells him that it was actually good, and if Delay only focuses all his energy on defending Lin Ling from making a right-hand shot, he will definitely be able to defend him much better with his natural physique. After that moment, Longbin passes the ball to his teammate on the court, and then he runs straight towards him to get it back in his possession. Delay then passes the ball back to Longbin, who then tries to shoot it towards the basket, so Lin Ling quickly moves his arm up to block his view and sight, but Longbin does not throw at that exact point and waits patiently for a better chance. Longbin then finds a perfect opportunity and throws the ball straight in the basket for a score. Everyone in the crowd then starts cheering for Longbin and his impressive performance on the court right now. Wu Gang watches carefully from the sidelines and thinks that compared to Lin Ling's fun and entertaining playstyle that excites people watching, Longbin's playing style is much more stable and consistent throughout the entire game. Wu Gang continues thinking and analyzing in his mind that Longbin reads the game quite thoroughly, and he always manages to score points to dominate the game in a simple and efficient way without wasting any energy. The match then continues on without stopping, and Lin Ling dribbles the ball forward towards the basketball hoop with speed and control, and just as he jumps up high into the air to throw the ball inside the basket, Delay also jumps up and tries his best to block the shot attempt, but Lin Ling smartly retreats and pulls back at the last second. Lin Ling then very quickly changes the direction of his movement and adjusts his position, and he manages to throw the ball inside the hoop successfully for another point. Seeing that, the green head guy watches closely and says that with Lin Ling's current state and performance level right now, it will not be simple at all for Longbin to dominate the game like he usually does. Wu Gang says that the score on the board is not the most important thing when it comes to dominating a game at all, because it is actually the confidence and morale of the team that is truly important and matters the most. Wu Gang continues that he strongly believes that Longbin will show and demonstrate his real skills and abilities when the team needs him to step up and take charge of the situation. After that, Longbin then runs quickly with the ball in his hands while Lin Ling follows right behind him closely. Just as Longbin tries to jump up high to make his shot at the basket, Lin Ling and his other teammate also jump up together at the same time to try and block him from scoring. However, they completely fail to stop him as Longbin powerfully does a dunk shot and slams the ball into the basket with force. After landing back on the ground safely, Longbin then turns to Lin Ling and tells him that it was not anything special or impressive at all to him, it was actually just his warm-up exercise to get ready for the real game that is about to happen. Afterward, Zhang Yi and Li Feng both start cheering very loudly for their own respective teams from the sidelines with all their energy. Lin Ling runs forward quickly with the ball in his control while both Longbin and Delay try their absolute best to stop him and block his path to the basket. Lin Ling then passes the ball over to his teammate who is in a better position, and the teammate catches it and manages to throw the ball into the basket successfully and scores another point for their team. The teammate then tells Lin Ling happily that it was a really good pass and perfect timing from him, but Wu Gang watches from the side and thinks that the defensive strategy against Lin Ling's right-hand shooting is slowly starting to pay off and show results for Longbin's team. The match then continues with Longbin having possession of the ball in his hands, and he quickly passes it back to Delay when Lin Ling rushes forward aggressively and tries to steal it away from him before he can make a play. Just like that play, they both keep passing the ball back and forth to each other repeatedly, so that Lin Ling could not manage to take it away from them at all. The ball then gets passed to Delay who catches it perfectly, and he quickly jumps up high into the air and throws the ball into the basket successfully for another point. Now after that shot just happened, the score is 11 points to 10 points, and Lin Ling's team is just one single point away from tying or losing the lead completely in the game. Zhang Yi and the others watching from the sidelines are excited and pumped up that Longbin's team is going to overtake Lin Ling's team very soon in the match, but the other students and fans are shocked and surprised that the score is slowly catching up and getting closer with every play that happens. However, Li Feng still strongly believes in Lin Ling and has complete faith and confidence that he can turn things around and do it successfully for their team in this game. The crowd then starts cheering loudly for Class 13, chanting the word defense repeatedly and enthusiastically. Wu Gang then tells the green-haired guy that this ball is very critical and important, as Lin Ling will not be able to play it successfully this time. The ball is now with Lin Ling who is looking around carefully to pass the ball to someone on his team. Lin Ling then throws the ball towards the basket but it hits Delay's finger at the last moment and just rebounds back to Lin Ling instead of going in. Delay then quickly passes the ball over to Longbin who catches it and immediately throws a three-pointer shot towards the basket. Seeing that, everyone in the crowd gets surprised but Delay immediately runs after the ball with full speed and grabs the rebound before anyone else can reach it. Delay then jumps up powerfully and does a slam dunk move, and he puts the ball directly into the basket with force and authority in his movement. Everyone in the crowd then starts cheering very loudly and enthusiastically for Delay, saying out loud that the dunk was really powerful and impressive to watch, and now the score is completely tied between both teams on the scoreboard. Delay then turns to Longbin with a confident expression on his face and asks him what he is looking at right now, as if Longbin has never seen such an awesome and impressive dunk in his entire life before this moment. However, the green-haired guy watches the play carefully from where he is standing and thinks to himself that the rebound receive was way too comfortable and perfect for it to be just a mistake or accident that happened, as the ball flew perfectly and landed exactly in the range of Delay's bounce and wingspan reach on the court. The green-head guy realizes that Longbin perfectly calculated and planned everything while shooting the ball intentionally and strategically. He thinks that the look on Delay's face clearly shows and proves that he has not realized this fact or understood what really happened yet at all. Wu Gang says that this goal not only tied the score and made it even between both teams but it also boosted the morale of Longbin's team significantly. At the same time, Li Feng thinks back to the time and remembers the moment when Longbin told Lin Ling that with his current strength and skill level, even if Lin Ling plays against him for ages and ages, he will not be able to defeat Longbin at all. Li Feng then gets furious and shouts at Lin Ling to win this match no matter what happens. He reminds Lin Ling that he promised to get him the ice cream that he wanted if he wins. Afterward, Lin Ling dribbles the ball like he has ultra instinct powers and tries his best to dodge Longbin on the court. Longbin then runs towards him again to steal the ball away but Lin Ling dodges him and changes the direction of his movement. Lin Ling then runs directly towards the basket with full speed and determination but he gets blocked by both Longbin and Delay at the exact same time as they jump up together to stop him. Lin Ling then quickly steps back away from them to create some space between himself and the defenders, and he throws the ball straight towards the basket with perfect form and technique, which surprises and shocks everyone watching in the crowd completely. The audience thinks that the 360-degree turnaround jump shot that Lin Ling did in one smooth motion was absolutely awesome and incredible to watch live, and they are all completely convinced by this round and play that Lin Ling is truly awesome and talented as a player. Seeing that amazing play happen right in front of him on the court, the green-haired guy turns to Wu Gang excitedly and tells him that with both Lin Ling and Longbin on the team together at the same time, the school basketball team is looking very promising and strong this year for competitions, but Wu Gang thinks that having both of them together is just like a dream come true for the school. On the other hand, Lin Ling suddenly imagines Yi, who tells him that he is happy that he got to play basketball with him, and it is really hard for Yi to imagine what a life without Lin Ling would be like at all. It turns out that it is not actually Yi at all but instead it is Lin Ling's teammate who is standing there. He asks Lin Ling with confusion who exactly he is calling E right now, but Lin Ling explains that E is his close buddy and friend who he grew up with since they were very young. The match then continues with Longbin getting possession of the ball in his hands and he looks carefully at the basketball hoop ahead of him. The green-haired guy watches the positioning carefully and thinks that the midfield area is completely empty and open for both Longbin and Lin Ling to move around in freely without any obstacles, so he wonders if Delay is starting to get the strategy now finally. Wu Gang tells him that Delay knew about the plan all along from the very beginning of the game, and no matter what happened or went wrong before in the game earlier, Delay still has a good sense of control and understanding when it truly matters the most in critical moments. Delay just hopes and prays in his mind that Longbin does not waste all his efforts and hard work that he put in today, otherwise it would be very disappointing to him. Longbin then tries to fake a left escape move to trick Lin Ling, but then he suddenly aims to break through and attack from the right side instead. Lin Ling then tries to quickly go after him and catch up, but Longbin just does a wraparound move and runs straight towards the basket with incredible speed. After that, Longbin easily does a slam dunk and throws the ball inside the basket with authority and strength. Now after that play, the match is completely tied with 12 points each on both sides and everyone in the crowd thinks and believes that Longbin is definitely going to dominate and take control in the match from this point forward. The green head guy turns to Wu Gang and tells him that Longbin changed his entire defense strategy against Lin Ling's right-hand shooting, and he is now completely ignoring the shot attempts and focusing all his attention on preventing the breakthrough moves instead. Wu Gang replies that Longbin would definitely do that kind of strategy because he knows and understands that Lin Ling will not be able to shoot the ball successfully with his left hand at all during the game. Afterward, Lin Ling gets possession of the ball in his hands again, and he does the same techniques to try and fool around Longbin and get past him on the court. Longbin tries his absolute best to counter and stop Lin Ling's techniques, but Lin Ling just skillfully dodges his defensive attack and does an answer ball shot once again successfully this time, leading the ball perfectly into the basket for another point on the scoreboard. After that, everyone in the crowd starts cheering for Lin Ling and his amazing performance. With just one more point needed, Lin Ling can easily defeat and beat class number 13 completely. Zhang Yi is also surprised by what he just witnessed. He thinks that the dunk shot was way too strong and powerful, and it really looks like Lin Ling is actually better and more skilled than Longbin at this point. Back on the court, Lin Ling and Longbin are now standing face to face with each other directly like two fierce beasts who are ready to fight and compete. The audience watching starts wondering if this is going to be a 1 versus 1 situation again, which means that the game is getting crazier and more intense with every single second that passes by. The ball is now in Longbin's possession and he decides to break through using his speed as his main advantage, but Lin Ling does not let him go past easily at all. Longbin is now almost completely forced to the baseline area by Lin Ling's tight defense, but then Longbin tries to force a layup shot from the baseline position anyway. As they both get closer to the basket area on the court, Lin Ling tries to position himself to cover the near rebound area to prevent any second chance points from happening. However, Longbin does not throw the ball up for a layup like everyone expected, but instead he powerfully does a slam dunk that leads and forces the ball directly into the basket successfully with authority. Moreover, Lin Ling thinks in his mind that Longbin has improved a lot since last time he faced him in a game. The crowd then wonders out loud if this is some kind of a slam dunk contest happening right now. Delay then looks at Longbin and realizes that he is truly formidable and strong as a player. On the other hand, the green-haired guy thinks that it gives him goosebumps just watching them play, and now, he cannot wait to be on the field with them himself. At this moment, Lin Ling has possession of the ball in his hands and he thinks that only a three-pointer shot can end this game and secure the victory for his team right now. Longbin then notices that Lin Ling is trying to look around and search for an opportunity to take that shot successfully, so he quickly moves forward to block Lin Ling's outside shot attempt before it happens on the court. Lin Ling then rushes forward with speed and finds a small gap and opening between himself and the basket to shoot, but then Longbin just jumps up high at him with perfect timing to try and block the shot completely from going in. Lin Ling then moves around and adjusts his position quickly, so that he could find just a body's width of space to take his shot attempt successfully. Lin Ling then tries to push past Longbin with force, but he ends up losing his balance and falling backwards, so he quickly saves himself from falling completely and runs towards the basket area, trying desperately to find even a minor space for the shot he needs. Lin Ling then throws the ball towards the basket with all his effort and strength, but the ball just hits the side of the rim hard and rebounds back out into the air away from the basket, so Lin Ling quickly jumps up high and grabs the rebound with both hands and does a powerful dunk to score the point successfully for his team. After that, Li Feng and all the other supporters and fans start cheering for Lin Ling, saying happily that now it is just one more goal to go before they win the entire match against the other team. At the same time on the sidelines, the green-haired guy watches everything and says that this goal and the momentum that came with it completely overtook Longbin and his team's energy on the court, and just one more goal and they are definitely going to win this match for sure without any doubt. Wu Gang listens to what he says and tells him that instead of saying that Lin Ling scored a momentum goal that changed everything, he would rather say that Longbin actually got 1 point through using smart tactics and strategy instead of just raw skill alone. Afterward, everyone in the crowd then starts cheering for Lin Ling, saying that they are ahead in the score right now and with just one more goal, they can easily win the entire game without any problems. Li Feng watches hopes desperately that Lin Ling does not give up at this critical moment and he should keep fighting with everything he has because he is the strongest player out there on that court. At the same time, Zhang Yi is also trying his absolute best to encourage and support Longbin, saying to him that he is only one single point behind in the score and he can definitely still win this match if he tries hard. However, the green-haired guy watches the scoreboard carefully and thinks that the score is 13 points against 14 points right now, and there are not many choices or options left for Longbin to make at this point in the game anymore. But Wu Gang responds back seriously and says that the victor and winner will be decided by this next ball and possession coming up. Lin Ling then thinks deeply about his best friend Yi, who introduced himself as Deng Yiming for the very first time when they met each other. He always encouraged Lin Ling by saying that they have to go further together in basketball as they promised each other back then. Now, the ball is with Longbin and Lin Ling's defensive aim is focused completely on his right hand, ignoring all shot attempts and only focusing on preventing any sudden charge towards the basket. Wu Gang and the green head guy watch closely and wonder if Lin Ling is not going to give Longbin any chance to shoot from outside the paint area at all. Longbin then makes his move forward, so the green head guy thinks in his mind that Lin Ling's tight defense will not give him any shooting space to work with. Wu Gang disagrees and says it's not the case at all because Longbin is being forced to the sidelines intentionally. Lin Ling wonders to himself if Longbin gave up on his original plan because he changed the direction of his dribble suddenly. He then realizes with shock that Longbin is actually trying to set up and shoot a three-pointer shot from that position on the court, so he quickly jumps at him with full extension to block the shot attempt from going in. Lin Ling then notices something important as he jumps up, which is that Longbin is holding the ball with his right hand, meaning he is going for a left-hand shot instead of his usual right-hand shot. Afterward, Longbin throws the ball up and it manages to go inside the basket successfully for a score. Finally, class number 14 wins the match successfully and everyone from their team starts celebrating their victory with joy, including Zhang Yi, who is more excited than anyone else in the entire crowd. The green head guy watches the celebration and wonders if he does not know if he should be feeling happy or sad about the outcome of this game. But Wu Gang responds to him and says that for Lin Ling specifically, losing a close game like this one means a lot to him personally and will affect him deeply. Lin Ling then gets all sorts of flashbacks rushing through his mind at that moment, including one particular memory where his friend Yi got injured badly during a game they played together. Lin Ling then quickly runs towards Yi in his memory to help him out and check if he is okay, but he falls deeper and deeper into his memories and loses touch with reality around him, but then Li Feng suddenly wakes him up, asking him if he is alright. Afterward, Li Feng tells him that it's just a game and nothing more, so there is no big deal about losing it. He adds that Lin Ling is already great and talented at basketball, but Longbin was just lucky today. Longbin then walks over and tells Lin Ling directly that Li Feng is right about one thing, which is that winning or losing this game should not really matter to him at all. Longbin further says that it's because even if Lin Ling did manage to win the game today, he would not be able to forget about what happened to Deng Yiming anyway. After hearing that, Lin Ling becomes frustrated with him and feels upset inside, but Longbin explains that compared to the game they played before, Lin Ling's strong wish to win is much stronger today even without Deng Yiming standing by his side. However, Longbin also feels disappointed and thinks that Lin Ling is not at all the kind of person he expected him to be at this point. Longbin then says that what happened to Deng Yiming should never be used as a reason for Lin Ling to give up on himself or on his dreams of playing basketball. He also shares that when Deng Yiming is lying in the hospital and slowly recovering from his injuries, he always becomes very happy and excited whenever Lin Ling mentions his name during visits. However, he thinks that while all that was happening, Lin Ling was hiding and crying in his house the entire time, trying to escape all this pain and guilt. Hearing that, Li Feng gets angry and says that it was just his good luck that he won the game today, so he has no right to lecture Lin Ling right now about anything. He then says that Lin Ling will definitely beat him one day in the future for sure, but when Li Feng turns around, he sees that Lin Ling is walking away from them quietly. Longbin then asks Li Feng if he thinks that basketball still means the same to Lin Ling as it did before all this happened to him. On the other hand, the green-haired guy asks Wu Gang if they should help Lin Ling, who looks in a terrible state right now, but Wu Gang says that someone will be there to help him soon, so there is no need to worry about that situation, and when their teammates are facing hardships they never abandon them at all. 1 week later, in the classroom where students are studying, the teacher tells all the students to go through and review the important points that they covered in class during today's lesson. Li Feng is concerned about Lin Ling's mental state right now, but then his friends arrive at his desk and ask him if he is coming out to play basketball with them after school. At that moment Lin Ling suddenly stands up and leaves the classroom without saying anything. Li Feng turns to his friends and tells them that he will come with them next time when he gets the chance again to hang out. Later during the day, everyone in the school notices Lin Ling walking around and they think quietly to themselves that Lin Ling looks scary. Li Feng then catches up with him and brings out golden passes and coupons for fried chicken and various different restaurants, saying that it's his treat tonight and they should go eat together. Li Feng continues that with these valuable coupons from his personal collection, they can eat until they are completely satisfied. However, Lin Ling tells Li Feng that he does not feel like eating anything at all anymore. He turns around quickly and leaves, which makes Li Feng stand there alone in the hallway. Li Feng tries his absolute best to convince him to come along, saying desperately that he waited for hours and hours in the waiting line to get these special coupons, but Lin Ling completely ignores him and his efforts and leaves the school building. Outside the school gates, Lin Ling finds Li Feng waiting for him again stubbornly, and he tells Li Feng that he already said clearly that he is not interested in eating anything today at all. Li Feng does not give up at all and starts following Lin Ling closely behind as he is going somewhere with determination on his face, but on his way while walking Li Feng accidentally steps on a puppy's chocolate chip cookie that was on the ground underneath him. Li Feng then immediately goes after the puppy to teach him a lesson for leaving food on the path like that, but then Lin Ling notices that playful interaction happening right in front of him, and it makes him remember his past memories where he used to play around with his best friend Deng Yiming just like that in a carefree way back then. Later, Lin Ling is actually sitting on a play area and watching two young boys arguing loudly with each other over a basketball match they just played. One of the boys tells the other one confidently that he is going to beat him no matter what happens in their next game, but the other guy responds by calling him a dwarf and says back that he will not lose to him ever. The two boys then continue arguing back and forth for a while longer, calling each other by various insulting nicknames and saying mean things like they cannot dribble the ball properly at all. In a memory that plays in Lin Ling's mind, Lin Ling is watching himself play in an NBA final match where Lin Ling is actually playing against the legendary Kobe Bryant himself. Lin Ling shows off his insane moves and skills by breaking through the defense with incredible speed and agility, and then his friendie shows up on the court and does a screening move perfectly, which means it is an offensive play in which a player stands beside or behind a defender in order to free a teammate and give them space. After that screen is set perfectly, Lin Ling jumps high up in the air to take his shot with perfect form, but another opposing player tries to jump up at the same time and block him from scoring successfully. Lin Ling quickly passes the ball over to Yi at the last second before the defender reaches him, and he catches it smoothly and easily scores a goal for their team without any trouble. We then get transported to another memory of Lin Ling where he is sitting at a hospital, watching Yi going through some painful medical treatment and recovery process after his injury. Back in the present day, the kids who were arguing with each other accidentally threw their basketball towards Lin Ling's direction, so they call him uncle politely and tell him to pass the ball back to them so they can continue playing. However, Lin Ling suddenly starts crying with tears running down his face and walks away from them without saying anything, which makes the kids think and wonder to themselves if he might be having a very complicated adult life right now, or maybe his girlfriend just left him recently. At the same time, Li Feng is actually watching and observing this emotional scene from behind a bush where he is hiding quietly. How long do you think it will take for Lin Ling to confront his past trauma and truly return to the basketball court? Comment, rebound, if you'd like a part 2 of the series. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more sports manhwa recaps.